Hey folks, Steve-O here from the Garage of Evil, and you're probably wondering, why are you sitting at my dining room table with me? Well, I'm going to tell you why. So back in April, May, we were at Hauntex teaching our butts off and having way too much fun out in Reno, and I met Vinny from TerraTech. And what they do, among other things and other products, is have this really neat brand new concept in haunt controllers that I'm really digging. You guys know that I've been doing the pickaxe stuff forever. We're all familiar with how keybangers work. And there are a couple other products out there, but it's very rare that you see something that's kind of game-changing. And I think this is it. So after the convention, long story short, the good folks at TerraTech, after a phone call, decided to send me one and see if I can break it for them. Thus far, thankfully, I have not broken it. However, I do plan on keeping this one, and I will be paying for it because I am really incredibly impressed with this thing. It's very neat. It's a big departure from the typical microcontrollers or keybangers that I've used before. And I want to show it to you. So hold on a second. I'm going to grab the camera and I'm going to show you this little thing. Wait a minute. So here we are once again at the dining room table of evil. And you will note that I am using placemats so I don't ruin our brand new dining room table of evil. That's of course for a particular person who may watch this video and wonder why the hell I'm doing haunt stuff on our brand new table. So this is the controller. This is the TerraTech board, and it's really, really cool. This little guy right here features 8 relays, and the relays are beefy. 10 amp relays, 250 volts AC, 30 volts DC. Now I always like to do things with a little bit of margin of error, but that still gives me plenty of room. Also has 2 inputs. Those are those guys right there. And if those look like servo headers to you, you're right, it even does servos. And, of course, it does audio, and it does video via this HDMI port. And this thing is so neat, it's amazing. That little dongle you see coming out of there, the little USB dongle, that is its own Wi-Fi network. How cool is that? And this is one of the things that, when I say game changer, this is what I mean. So right now, just for testing purposes, to give you guys a little tease, as I learn to start playing with this and create some scene controls with it, I've just got this projector attached to it. And projection, of course, is definitely like a new hot thing. And it's really hard to do standalone projection without spending a lot of money. Never mind get a box that gives you standalone projection, gives you standalone audio, gives you 8 relays, and is programmed, and this is just how simple it is. This is what I love about this thing. Check this out. So this is how you connect to it. You can see that I'm connected to my home network right now. Yes, this little thing actually creates its own Wi-Fi network, and there it is. It's called TerraTech. So I'm going to connect to that. Yep, there we go. And yeah, I'm just using my little Asus tablet, little Android tablet. And you can see it is connected. There we go. So what do we do now? Okay, so now we're on this little thing's Wi-Fi network. Let's open up Android Chrome browser. I've already been here before, but what you would do is you would just type tcc.com right there. All in the instructions, obviously. ttc.com, and you're presented with this screen. This is actually a system health of the board itself. We're actually in the board right now through this awesome little web interface. And yep, this little guy right here has its own little web server running on it, among other things. How cool is that? So, if we want to program it, let's say I just want to trigger some video, right? And there's all sorts of stuff you can do with this. But let's at least scratch the surface right now before I do a deep dive later. We go there, you can see Home, Scripts, Media. In fact, I'm going to dim the lights for a second here so you guys can see that a little more clearly, I hope. Yeah, that's better. Alright, so we're going to go into scripts. Scripts are how we program. We create scripts. Now you can see I already have a script here that I did. I'm going to delete that. We're going to take you right from the first step. There we go. Goodbye. No more script for you. Alright, so now what do? We hit New Script. And we need to name it. So I'm going to name it Test. And hit Save Changes. And now, each script can have multiple events, and you can also choose how to trigger it. Well, I'm going to trigger this one on Trigger Input 1. I'm going to hit Save Input there. And we may have to go back and resave that, but we'll see. And then I'm going to add a step. Now you can add a relay step, a video step, audio, or a servo step. Now we're going to do video here, so I'm going to click video. So so long as you have, I should say not if, but so long as you have the files that you're going to use on the device that you're using, I actually moved over a couple of video files onto my tablet here. You would just select upload the first time you do it, and it would upload it and it would be available to you. I already did that, so I'm going to click select video, and I'm going to choose the one, there we go. And I could choose to preview that, and it would, over there, this is kind of cool. You can also choose whether you want to play the audio over. You know, HDMI carries audio, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to say audio jack. That gives me a little more options. And then you need to know, or you need to tell it, how quick after I hit the trigger do I want this thing to start playing. Right, so this is all time-based, and this is true of any of the events here. I want it to play, we have to enter something, so I'm going to say play 1 second after I hit the trigger. And then I'm going to click save. See that guy right there? Sorry about the shaky cam, folks. There we go. Alright, now you can see that it has saved my script. Now I can keep adding steps. So I could say 1 second after I hit the trigger, play the video. And then I can add a relay step, and then 3 seconds later hit this relay, maybe that sets off a pneumatic solenoid or whatever. 5 seconds later make the servo do something, then make audio go. And you can keep adding scripts too, so you're not limited to just one script. You can add multiple scripts to this thing. I could put one script on input 1, as long as I'm not playing video off input 2. Let's say for instance I could do one script off input 2. If I was doing video, then when that one triggered, it would supersede the first one, at least video-wise. But you get the idea, right? And I'll go into detail on this later as I play with it more and actually create a real scene with it. So, without further ado, let's do this. Let me, I want to double check that I got the trigger input right. So first I'm going to go back. Now I'm back at the main page, and you can see that my newly created script is right there. Just to make sure everything's saved right, I'm going to hit edit. And it does occasionally do this. They're working on this through a firmware update. It does occasionally forget that I told it to use input 1. That's okay. As long as we know about it, we just hit save input again. And then we'll go back. I will hit edit. And you can see that it is now properly saved. Alright, so, kind of neat, huh? Now we have a script loaded in there. All I have to do is now hit that trigger input. Now, a quick note. The trigger, the inputs on this, you need to send voltage to them. And that's kind of a cool thing. So those of us in the pickaxe world or the stamp world, our inputs, we just wire up a button to them and they work. Well, that's because they're sending their own voltage as a feedback loop back to it. This doesn't work that way. In this case, we have to supply voltage. Now, I have very, quite kludgely, if that's a word, hooked up a 12-volt wall wart, and I'm going to send 12 volts. And 12 volts is a good safe voltage to trigger the relays. I think you need a minimum of 7.5 volts to sense the input. I'm using 12. It's safe. And until I have an official spec sheet from these folks telling me what the maximum voltage is, I'm going to stick with 12. I know it works and I know it's safe. So, in the real world, what I would have done is wired this up so I had a little button in between this. And I would just hit the button, and the button would control the voltage to the input. Well, obviously we're sitting here at my dining room table, so we're kind of kludging it up a little bit. So, I should be able to just, there, and look at that. Can you see that? Pretty soon I'm going to have video playing here. The projector is working. And hey, look, there's some video work. Now, obviously, it's broad daylight out here, so my little $100 slow boot from China projector is not quite up to it. But you can see, through my Android tablet, within really just about a minute, I was able to program triggered video. I could have added audio, I could have added relay steps, I could have added servo movement if I wanted to. Multiple scripts. I mean, this thing is it's just too neat. I am going to do some more how-tos on this because I'm really loving this product, and it's such a departure from the current controllers that are available out there. So expect some more, but I wanted to give you guys just a little tease because I'm really falling in love with this little thing. So that's it for now. Talk to you soon.